We've been taught there's a pill for every ill. Yeah. That's what, like, if you get a headache, you think the solution to it is Excedrin. You think but you don't have an Excedrin deficiency. That's not the cause.
Yep.
So you're not addressing the cause, but what it does do is get rid of the symptoms. But it never addresses the cause. You don't know if this is quite possibly the reason why 20 years later you end up with dementia. Because you were constantly masking these symptoms with Excedrin.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So like we've been taught that. And so when we think about healing, we don't think about it in the sense of addressing the cause. We think about it from the sense of addressing the symptoms.
And then in 20 years, when we get diagnosed with dementia, they don't never equate it to...
That was a check engine light. The headache,
So like-
the
so-
migraines were a check
So when
engine
the
light.
dementia
what I said the
comes,
other
it's
day.
like, yo, we don't know where this came from.
Yeah. Same thing when you get cancer and you say, where did this come from? They say, well, we don't really know where cancers come from. But I just told you, if you go to the governing body that determines what is and isn't cancerous, they tell you cigarettes cause cancer. They tell you processed meats cause cancer. And there's a much longer list of things that are in your household products, that are in your cosmetic products, that are in your hygienic products. There's a long list of things that are carcinogenic.
So you don't believe in medicine at all?
I wouldn't say that. What I would say is if I walk out on Hollywood Boulevard and I get hit by a car, take me to the hospital.
Straight up. Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But in the sense of maintaining my health and actually trying to heal, no. Because modern medications are just simply designed to manipulate your biochemistry. And anybody who is a healthcare professional knows that is true. If you understand pharmacokinetics, you know that is true. All it does is manipulate your biochemistry. So if you have high blood pressure, maybe I tap into your angiotensin receptor. Maybe I use a calcium channel blocker. Doesn't matter what I use, but that manipulates your biochemistry to lower your blood pressure. It's only addressing the check engine light. It's not addressing the actual issue. And we know this to be true because most people who have a heart attack or stroke, they're on medication when they have the heart attack or stroke. So we know that what's happening is, your blood pressure may look or appear to be lower, but the damage is still occurring because you still have the heart attack or stroke.
Yeah. So talk to us about what's your diet like?
My diet?
Yeah.
So I typically don't eat until around about 1. I like to do intermittent fasting. I usually stop somewhere
Every
around.
day.
Yeah. I usually stop somewhere around 7 p.m. typically. So that's when I don't eat. That's my not eating window. And then the first thing I eat is usually fruit. So like coming here to LA, you guys know, I don't know if you know, I own a tropical fruit farm.
box.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I eat tropical fruit in the morning. That's the first thing I break my fast with because I've been fasting for 16, 17 hours. So I break my fast with a food that is the most easily digestible food there is, which is fruit. That's the most easy thing to digest. Most people, when they eat fruit, they have no problem with fruit. You try to eat steak and potatoes, you got problems. So that's the first thing that I break my fast with. Or I do like a smoothie, I do a green juice. And then I have my lunch. My lunch could be a number of things. I mean, it could be some kind of quinoa bowl. It could be, a wrap, like a kale wrap. It could be a large number of things.
Right. So is intermittent fasting is that a variation of detoxing?
No, intermittent fasting is just a window where you don't eat.
Okay.
And I talk about that in my book, Vegetation Over Medication, the importance of having digestive rest. We eat like cows. Cows graze throughout the day. There's not a period where they're not eating grass.
But they also have 5 stomachs.
Yeah, they got 5, 6 stomachs.
We have 1.
We got 1. So we're not supposed to be eating, waking up in the morning, having breakfast, then having a snack, then having lunch, and then having a snack between that, and then having dinner, and then finally going to sleep and waking up and repeating the process. That's grazing. So this is why we never have any rest. And what most people don't know about digestion is this. It takes up the large majority of most of your energy. That's why when you overeat,
Digesting.
Like, yeah, when you overeat,
You slumped.
you get that itis.
And that's why when you eat before you go to sleep, you don't have good rest.
You don't have
'Cause
good
your body's
rest.
working so hard trying to digest and process
While
that
you're
food.
sleeping. Because when you wake up, what do you got to do? You got to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Your body been working while you've been sleeping.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you finish your meal, let's say 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed, you may have a bowel movement or urinate before you go to bed. Now you're going to have restful sleep. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't eat. So no chicken.
No, I don't eat any animal products.
Okay. So
Yeah, for the last 13 years.
So what would you say to someone who says, "Yo, okay, is there a such thing as too healthy?
Too healthy.
I'm trying to
What does
live
that
too
mean?
healthy."
What does
Nah.
Right? Is there a such thing? Is there a such thing as trying to live too perfect in terms of your nutrition, right? Because I feel like everyone can dissect everyone's nutrition and find things to say that kind of point out to that's unhealthy. You understand what I'm saying? So someone can say, okay, well, you lack the protein to gain muscle.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how do you navigate those conversations?
Well, I always tell people, we have this perception. Again, I write about that in the book because I always get that question. We have this perception around protein that it is the first and most important thing that we need. But when you think about what animals do most people eat? Cows,
chicken.
pigs, chicken. All right. And we say we need to eat that because why?
We need protein.
We need protein. All right. Do any of those animals eat meat?
Nope.
No, none of them eat meat. Horse, strong animal. Rhino, strong animal. Gorilla, strong animal. Elephant, strong animal. I can go on and on. None of them eat meat. They're the strongest animals in the world. So why is it that humans are the only species of animals on the planet that need to eat meat to get protein? It doesn't make sense at all. It's bad science. It's outdated science. So that's essentially how I explain to people, if you want to eat meat, cool, do your thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's not necessary because you get protein from your food. And as much as people would like to think, well, you're not going to get enough, well, just go look at a lot of these men in prison. They're some of the most jacked dudes in the world.
Yep.
They don't get no protein shakes and extra meat. Yeah, they some of the biggest and strongest men in the world.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, there's a whole perception around, bodybuilding and nutrition and the food industry that you need massive amounts of protein. I'm just saying, you really don't.
I want to go back to that processed meat and that dye you was talking about. Because you said, when it sits there, it's obviously processed. It sits there, and then if it sits there long enough, the dye comes out.
Yeah.
And people still eat that stuff. And it's got to be processed through our digestive system.
Yeah.
Like, how long will something like that take to actually move through our body? How long could it possibly sit in our body? Because a lot of people will talk about, man, I feel really bloated, especially after eating things like red meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how long does it take for red meat to actually truly process and digest in the body?
I mean, it actually depends on what you eat it with. Because again, if you eat protein with a starch, it could take up to 24 hours to digest. Sometimes it could just sit there because that's the protein. A starch turns into like a glue inside of our body. So when you eat potatoes with no veggies around it, like green leafy vegetables, it turns into like a glue. And then you got a protein like a meat, let's say steak. It has no fiber in it, has no water content in it. To have a bowel movement, you have to have fiber and you have to have water. There's no fiber in any animal products. So if you're gonna eat meat, you have to eat it with green leafy vegetables. You gotta eat it with vegetables because it has fiber and it has water content. That's why when you take vegetables and fruits and you put them in a juicer, you get juice out.
Yep.
That's water content.
So if you eat meat, let's say I was someone that eat meat. I don't eat meat. But let's say I was someone that was eating meat, right? And I take up something like you said, I'm eating tropical fruits in the morning because that's something I do as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that the tropical fruits with the high water content will help move the meat throughout my body and allow me to digest in the morning? Like, is that a good counterbalance for someone?
What I always tell people, because I really can't tell people how much meat to eat. And the reason why is because, again, I don't judge anybody for what they eat. That's your business. I only educate people. But what I want people to understand is this. Most of the meat you're eating is not healthy meat. Even when they say it's grass-fed and blah, 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 most of the time it's not.
Not even Wagyu.
Gotcha.
What about halal?
Yeah.
I got you.
No?
It's really important to know that.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, and then the other thing that's really important is that everybody's body is different. Nobody is the same. And what I mean by that is this. You got people who have really good digestive system. You got other people who have really poor digestive systems. You have people who process sugars really well, and you got people who don't. So it all actually depends on what you're eating it with, okay? But if you're going to eat meat, I highly recommend you don't eat it with any other refined carbohydrates. You need to definitely eat it with a lot of green leafy vegetables.